Hi again. My name is Hugo Moreno, and I'm a teaching artist with the American Composers Orchestra. In this video, we're going to talk about the music of a wonderful living American composer and explore how composers and performers work together to bring a new piece of music to life. Be sure to check out all the ways the American Composers Orchestra help composers bring their music to life at www.americancomposers.org, including our new initiative to play music that pairs great living American composers with solo performers called Connecting ACO Community. Premieres of these works will take place on a regular basis on Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so check americancomposers.org for more details. So in the last video, we worked on a piece composed by my good friend Eric Nathan. We talked about the qualities that make for a good collaboration between composer and performer, and we talked about the ways of practicing a piece, especially one that might have techniques or musical elements that we're not really familiar with. Today we're going to talk about another really cool piece composed by Eric Nathan called Four Sculptures for Two Trumpets. I first played this piece at Cornell University with another really great trumpet player named Tim Leopold. Tim plays in a really cool group called Alarm Will Sound. Check them out. They are awesome. So, Four Sculptures is a piece of music based on four art sculptures by an artist named Derek Parker. And Derek saw these sculptures in an exhibition and was moved to compose music for them. Composers get their inspiration from many different sources, so many sources. And works can be written about and inspired by anything. It could be a different art form, like these sculptures. It could be other artists. It could be the sights and sounds of nature, events, places, people, history, even philosophies and ideas. These four works of art and their corresponding movements are all similarly named, except for one. The first movement, now you remember, movement is a section of music, like each part, each chapter, let's say. The first movement is called 15 Feet Closer to the Sky. The second movement is called Submarine Egg. The third movement is the one that has a different name. It's called In Memoriam, but the artwork was originally called Precipice. And the last movement is called Going Up the Downside. I like that name. Now, do you know what a sculpture is? Sculptures are a form of art in three dimensions, like statues. If you like to see the sculptures that the movements are based on, I invite you to go to www.ericnathan.com. He's got pictures of those sculptures right there. But think of like the big heart, like in Manhattan. That's a sculpture, right? Some would argue that maybe the Eiffel Tower is a sculpture. That's more of a building, but it's also a work of art. Sculpture is an interesting form of art. I invite you to look more into that. So you can see that the composers and musicians are always trying to communicate something specific to you through their music. It will be up to you, the listener, to determine what Derek Parker was trying to tell you through his sculptures, and whether you think Eric Nathan was trying to communicate it's the same thing or something different. For this duet, I'm going to be joined in a minute by my good friend Wayne Dumaine, who is principal trumpet player for the American Composers Orchestra. Over the years, Wayne and I have played chamber music, Broadway shows, and many other things together, and it's really a delight to collaborate with him here. I first met Wayne playing a really cool trumpet piece for 52 trumpet players at the Festival of New Trumpet Music in Brooklyn. Can you believe that? It was a piece by an American composer named Henry Brandt, who was famous for writing music that used so many musicians that his pieces could only be performed outdoors. See what you think. Wayne Dumaine, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm having a good time.
Great to see you. So I have a couple questions regarding this piece that we just are about to perform. Have you ever played it before?
I've never played it before. First time I saw it was when you mailed it to me.
Nice. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, were there any technically difficult parts for you in this piece?
It was not very challenging. I mean, it wasn't very technically challenging at all. It's very beautiful, actually. And you know, I love legato. I love playing beautiful. The dynamics are perfect. Everything is actually very well written. You know, the challenges when you're recording it is, you know, you never really know how soft you're playing. When you have decrescendos to pianissimo, you never really know until you hear it, you know, till you hear the actual, when you go back and listen to it, so you never know. Like the piece ends with a whole note that kind of decays to nothing, you know. So other than that, no, the piece is very well written. I really enjoyed recording it.
Beautiful. So you said you really like the musical elements of music. How do you prepare for those things? How do you know?
I prepare for anything that I play by sight reading every time I practice. Every time I pick up the horn and practice something, I randomly pick something out of my library and sight read through it, beginning to end, without stopping, trying to make it sound as if I've played it 100 times. So I've mastered the ability to put something on the stand when it's time to play it and be able to keep my eyes ahead of measure, pay attention to the accents, everything that you see. And this particular piece, you sent it to me a while back. I didn't get a chance to really look at it until a day before I recorded it. And I looked at it and I saw, accents. I saw some cello rondos, decrescendos, and it's very well written and very clear. There was nothing that I thought I would really have any issues with. There was nothing too fast and crazy or loud and high or mute changes. It's just straight ahead, just beautiful, slow. There are some, couple of loud moments, high A flats, but it gets intense, but then it goes back to the beautiful sound, which I really love. So it's actually, as far as it being challenging and something that's too hard to play, no, not at all.
So when you do encounter something that's really challenging and it pushes the extremes of what the instruments can do, how do you approach that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, it depends on what it is. Generally, if it is a piece of that nature, the person giving me that piece or the composer who's writing it will tell me, this is really hard, this is really challenging, you may want to look at it. So I look at it and I break it down. I look at the fastest notes on the page, slow it down, get the metronome, practice it 10 times in a row, do it at a quicker tempo 10 times in a row, do it another, just kind of tediously work out those sections that are the hardest parts, so that when it is time to perform it or record it, there isn't an inkling in my mind that says, oh my God, here comes that part. Or you're arriving at the gig like thinking, okay, that second movement, oh my God. No, I'm arriving ready to go, knowing that I put the time in. And even if I haven't put the time in, I know that my sight reading skills are at a level where I don't get nervous and don't worry about it. I just do it. And it's fun. It's better that way than to worry and if I worry and think that something's hard, it's not going to sound good and you're going to fail. So I put my mind in a mindset of just being prepared to play anything that's put on the stand at any given moment, any time. But yes, if it's something super challenging, in most cases, it's sent to me in advance. I look at it, and work on it and have it prepared.
Beautiful, beautiful. And do you have anything else you'd like to tell our viewers?
Well, if we really get a chance to perform this, I think they're going to really like it. I see there's other movements. We only did In Memoriam. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, here's what's interesting. When I saw the name of it, I thought of people who unfortunately have passed away, who I've known personally during this pandemic, during this COVID-19 craziness. And, and that always enhances the ability of the musician to get a point across to what they're doing. This goes way back to when it was a master class back when I was at Walt Disney World. It was with Rich Madison. Do you know him? He's a jazz euphonium player, right? He said that when he performs, he thinks of his family members, and sometimes he even writes it in a part, mom, and for 80 bars, and then dad or whatever. And that was like some of the best advice anyone's ever given me. I was like, wow. And so to this day, however many years later, that was 85, I did that while recording this. It said In Memoriam, and I thought, okay, this person passed away, this person passed away. There's a Met Opera violist, Vince Leonti, who's like 3 years older than me, who passed away. Saddest thing on the planet Earth. Nicest guy, healthiest guy on the planet Earth, passed away. And I thought of him. I thought of some other close people that had passed away while I played this. And it enhances your ability to make music. So you're not just playing the notes, especially if it's something I don't really know that well. You don't want to sound as if you're just playing the notes. You want to sound as if you're actually getting some point across. And I did think of a few people while playing In Memoriam, and I hope that came across in the recording.
Wonderful. Wayne, great to talk to you.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, hope to play with you in person soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, man.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's been way too long, man.
Take care.
So, all right, have a good one.
Bye. Yeah, I really love this piece. Now, before we sign off, I wanted to mention one thing about the way I practice this piece. There's a little part in there where I had a solo, and it goes something like this. You might remember it. It's a tricky little spot because it just came off of a lot of playing. And to play a really pretty little solo like that is it's not that easy. But so what you have to do in that case is really make sure that you feel each one of those notes and its musicality. So what I'm trying to do when I practice is this. Make sure that every note sounds really pretty. Here's an important thing too. Sometimes when you're practicing something, you want to slow things down. Sometimes when you're practicing something, you want to speed things up. If it's something that has a really long note that you can't hold for a long time, you want to play that quicker. So you want to play a little faster. And then slowly, 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 you slow it down until you get it to where the composer wants it to be. I hope you really enjoyed this time together. I sure did. I'd like to thank Kevin James and the American Composers Orchestra for having me make this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can get in touch with us right through our webpage at www.americancomposers.org.